Of the few refugees who make it to Everlight, many are shocked to find that their troubles do not end there. Though its neutrality as a city-state left it largely unscathed during the Mage Wars, the city has its own mountain of problems to struggle with. The biggest ones being the ever-growing gap between the rich and the poor, an uncontrollable rise in crime, and the Purity of Light's aggressive crusade for new followers.
Hold it right there. What's your business in this city? You one of the refugees? There's been an awful lot lately.
Has there?
Aye, just last night a whole carriage of them arrived here.
And you let them in?
Those I did, yep. But that's because that woman leading him claimed to know Farland, the mayor. Didn't believe her at first, but she wouldn't let it go and asked us to send word to him. Well, so that we did. Turned out she was right. The mayor asked to let him in at once and gave him a roof to sleep under. Mysterious world, isn't it?
Well, I'm not a refugee.
You know what? I even believe you. Then what's your business?
I'm an adventurer.
Really? You got that look about you. Funny, before I signed up with the Guard, I used to be an adventurer too. But then I took... never mind. You're not here to hear an old guard rambling on about better days. Go on inside. Just behave yourself and you'll be fine.
What's next?
Tahar? This dream you've told me about, on our way from Farland's Hope to the Iskander battlegrounds. The one you've been having since your childhood. I've been thinking about it.
Have you?
Yes. These strange, human-like puppets you see in it, they might be a way of your mind telling you that there's an aspect about your flesh, your body, which you haven't come to understand yet.
Oh, stranger.
Where did you get that?
Would you be so kind and help a
Demonology is
wretched
all about
man?
exploring the dark corners
Terrible
of the
curse
mind.
befell me, and you look
But
bold
then again,
enough to come
dreams
to my
are
aid.
enigmatic.
I cannot
I might
eat.
be wrong.
I cannot sleep. I cannot smith. You just might be my only hope. You! Yes, you! Oh, stranger! Would you...
Sounds, tragic.
What? No! No, it is far worse than that. It is the curse. I come from one of the most noble elven families. Yes, I might have chosen the simple life of a blacksmith over the comforts of nobility, but that did not stop my father from meddling in my affairs. My father and Jane's family are plotting against us. Our parents' schemes have gone so far that they do not even allow Jane to see me anymore. I am sure it is her father who is behind it. He simply cannot accept my decision to forfeit the noble life. However, I have devised a plan.
That guy may be odd, but his craftsmanship is excellent. Didn't you say we might need a smith for our army?
How can I help you?
Ask.
Ask what?
Why, about Jane and me. You must have millions of questions, and I do not blame you. Such fierce display of emotions can be overwhelming for the poor soul who has never felt them.
All right. Then tell me a bit more about Jane.
Oh, where should I start? She is the most divine being ever known to walk the earth. The moment I met her on a sweet summer's day, I knew she was the one. We shared the most beautiful night of fiery passion, and it soon became clear that we were meant to be together. These enchanted eyes, her hair golden and sweet like molten honey, her shapely cheeks with a touch of rose like a blossoming flower, her slender waist like...
Yeah, I get it. Thanks. Why did you become a smith and not a nobleman?
Oh, it is simple. My father might be a noble, but he has achieved status and respect through hard work and determination. It was always my intention to follow the same path. Wealth makes people complacent. I wanted to earn my keep, and that my father does not see the true virtuous intentions behind my decision saddens me even more.
I don't have any more questions. Let's discuss your plan. How do you want me to help you? I'd rather not take on the Everlight nobility.
Oh, do not worry. This will not be necessary. All you have to do is deliver this potion to Jane. It's the milk of the poppy mixed with fire nettle, a very potent sleeping potion. Once ingested, it mimics death for around 24 hours. She and I will both drink it, and I paid the mortician to not embalm our bodies and cover up our escape. Tonight, at sunset, we shall both drink it. Then, once we wake up, we will escape this wretched city forever and build a new life in a better world.
Milk of the poppy and fire nettle are both strong sedatives. Do you really think mixing the two is a good idea? You might die.
I will not. Trust me, one of my many virtues is an excellent knowledge in the art of alchemy. I know what I am doing.
Well, okay. I'll give this potion to Jane and tell her of your plan.
Splendid. Wonderful. You, brave traveler, are what's lacking in this world. Men and women who fight for the beauty of...
Everlight. I didn't think I'd set foot in here again so soon.
Have you been here before?
Long time ago, yes. That was still during the wars. It looked quite different at that time.
I can imagine. It's certainly massive. Not even fit.
Are you really going to give that woman Jane this potion? This sounds like one heck of a stupid plan.
Well, let's just see what she has to say about it first.
No, Penelope. You cannot do this to me, he loudly screamed, full of pain and anguish. Penelope softly cast him a mournful glance. Her eyes dreamily drifted off towards the merciless and cold winter sky. But I have to, she silently whispered, full of remorse. Her tender breath tenderly caressed his haggard cheekbones, mockingly. My heart beats with yearning when I see her sweet and lovely face. For you, oh my former beloved, my feelings resemble the deepest depths of the deep sea of dreams, but alas, I am still young. I want my heart aflame, burning brightly like the fires of Zarak. She, oh my former beloved, is the spark that shall kindle my desires. A bitter tear bitterly flowed down Bartekius' face, as if slyly commenting on his endless, horrible suffering. The wind howled mournfully in the distance. A storm would come. If that is your wish, oh beloved, Bartekius vigorously ejaculated, full of loving acceptance. Then I shall accept it, for I know that true love knows no malice, no jealousy. True love knows love, and love only. Ceremonially, he boldly knelt down in front of her and took her soft.
All right, just be careful. You know.
Are you Jane?
Yes, I am. Who is asking?
A friend. I was sent by Vilron to give you this potion.
Vilron? But what's in that flask? I'm sorry, but this is a little odd.
Well, it's a sleeping potion. He wants you to take it at sunset tonight, and he will do the same. It will mimic death, so you can escape from your families to be together. Or, at least that was the plan.
Oh, I see. Well, I hate to say it, but you're a little misinformed. Vilron and I had a lovely evening together, and yes, we kissed, but that's about it. He's not really my type. Too impulsive, too, syrupy.
That's not the way Vilron told it. He said you love him as much as he loves you, and that it's your parents keeping you from each other.
Oh, by Tiara. Yes, I told him that I loved him that night because it felt right in that moment, but then he started writing me these poems and sonnets, and by now I think there isn't a single flower he hasn't compared me to. And then he sent that letter where he asked me how we should name our children. That was the moment I, well, needed some distance. Don't get me wrong, he's a really good man, but I just can't deal with his enthusiasm. I'm sure he will find a girl that will appreciate his sonnets, but it just isn't me.
Oh my. Kind of funny.
Then what do you want me to tell Vilron? I have to stop him from taking that potion tonight and waking up all alone in a morgue.
Well, if you're going to talk to him anyway, tell him the truth. Trying to spare him from rejection led to this entire situation. Tell him that I really appreciated our time together and that I know he will find true love sooner or later.
All right then. Sorry for bothering you.
Oh no, you didn't bother me in the least. This entire situation is unfortunate. Thank you for helping us resolve all this. I was too much of a coward to do it myself. Goodbye.
You're back. So tell me, did you complete your glorious quest?
Yeah, about that. Vilron, I don't think Jane will be drinking that potion. She isn't interested in fleeing Everlight with you.
Why would she not want to come with me?
Well, I talked to Jane. She told me that she has really appreciated you and the time the two of you spend together, but she's not yet ready to commit to you. She wanted me to tell you she's very sorry for leading you on.
By the... That surely must be her evil father's doing. The Jane I know would never give up on us that easily. No. No. We cannot let him manipulate my sweet Jane like this. Ride with me, warrior of love. We shall free Jane from that tyrant's oppression once and for all.
Wait, Vilron. Before you do anything, stop for a minute and think. You've known this girl for 2 weeks, right? And yes, you shared one romantic evening together, but that's about all. What do you really know about her?
What? What do you mean?
I mean, maybe you fell in love with the idea of Jane, and not Jane herself.
But no! No, that can't be it. Or can it?
Don't blame yourself. We all get a little overzealous when we first find love.
But no. No, it can't be over. This is how love works, is it not? It's what the poets always say and the bards always sing. Though, maybe there is truth in your words. Maybe I got too excited. Oh, blazes. Why didn't I see this? Oh, god damn it. I can't believe this really happened.
Actually, if you want to turn the page and start over, I might have an offer for you. My men are in need of an elven smith in Mullendir. You can come with me and forget about all this.
Mullendir? The ancient Shaper city?
Yes, we found it. It's a long story, but I can tell you all you need to know on the way. And we can pay you.
I don't know. I can't just leave my smithy, can I? Then again, everything here reminds me of her.
You don't need to leave forever. Just stay with us until our mission is completed.
All right then, you convinced me. Let me get my things first, and I'll meet you at the border. And thanks again for telling me the truth.
Quite the speech you gave him.
Just common sense.
Finally.
There you are. I was wondering when you'd show up.
I came as fast as I could. Where are the villagers?
In a safe place. Not the most beautiful part of this city, but it'll do, for now. Ah, and I sent Ralph to an apothecary. Despite the fire nettle, his cramps have gotten worse.
I see. How was the rest of the journey?
Well, since you made short work of the General's army, it was almost relaxing. Thanks again. I'm not the most pious of persons, but that the Harbinger sent you, of all people, was a true blessing. And I still can't believe we didn't lose a single soul on that journey. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. Speaking of it, hang on a moment. Here. I think you should have that. As a token of gratitude. Either way, that's not why you're here, right? You kept your promise, and I'll keep mine.
Allies. Does that mean you'll introduce me to those friends of yours?
Yes. In fact, I've already told him about you. His name is Phelan Argyll, the mayor of this city.
You're friends with Everlight's mayor?
Well, friends is a big word. Let's just say that he still owed me a favor.
Will he meet with me?
Yes, just go to his house and tell the guard that you're sent by Clara Farland. She'll let you in. So, I guess this is where we part ways, isn't it? It was a pleasure, Tahar.
Likewise. What will you and your people do now?
Play it by ear, I suppose. That's what I've always been good at.
Now would you look at that?
State your business.
Clara Farland sent me.
Huh. The description fits. Fine, go on in. Argyll is waiting for you.
As a free city, Everlight's leadership is not chosen by the right of blood, but elected by the town's nobility. The most recent mayor, Phelan Argyll.
Got it.
Blasted armor.
Well, well, if it isn't the notorious betrayer's child. I always wondered what you looked like. I had something different in mind. I'm Phelan Argyll, mayor of Everlight. Pleased to make your acquaintance. But let us cut to the chase, shall we? Clara has told me you're looking for an ally. One that can help you put an end to the Bloodburn.
What else did she tell you?
Not much I didn't already know. Who you are, and your involvement in the Mage Wars. And before you say any more, I don't want to know.
You don't?
No. The less I know, the less dangerous our cooperation is for me. Also, I fully trust Clara's judgment. If she thinks you're worthy of our support, then so do I.
For a simple village mayor, Clara has a lot of friends in high places.
Simple village mayor. Is that who she is now? Amusing.
Well, who is she?
Someone who was once very powerful but decided to quit. That's all I can tell you without her consent.
So, can you help us?
I believe I can. Let me introduce you to the Wayfarers. Come on in. Tahar, this is Rowan, leader of the Wayfarers, one of the most able mercenary groups on EO.
Rowan?
Tahar, Tiara's breath.
I take it you were acquainted already?
This man used to be my father's right hand during the Mage Wars. He was the one who told him of my plans to leave the rebels.
Interesting.
Don't act so surprised, Argyll. You knew of my past. And you also know that I'm the only reason this war is over.
If I hadn't told the Crown of Asamo's attack on the keep, he would have won. So yes, Tahar, you're right. I told Asamo about your betrayal. But ever since then, I've tried to repent.
Seems that everybody is busy repenting these days. Does it work?
Look, you're angry. And after what I did, you have all the right to be. But this is not the time for discussion. You need an ally, and we're all you're going to get. So, please, let us just put this behind us, even if it's just for now. Let the Wayfarers help you.
Who in blazes are the Wayfarers?
Mercenaries, as Argyll said. I founded them right after the war.
Mercenaries?
Yes. But that's just how we pay for our shelter and our food. Most of the time, the Wayfarers are helping people. Refugees, farmers, homeless. We're protecting those who the Crown has forgotten.
Very poetic. And how do I know you're telling the truth?
He is.
Thanks. Look, Tahar, I know I messed up. I served a monster for over 6 years of my life. But I regret it. And I'm trying to make amends.
So you warned the Royal Army of the attack?
Yes. It took me some time to realize how rotten our movement had become. But when I did, I acted. Just like you.
But please, I can tell you all about this, but not now, not here.
So this army of yours, what can you offer?
Knowledge, tactics, swords. Whatever it is you and the Harbinger need to end the Bloodburn, we'll help you.
Fine, but we'll have a lot to talk about, Rowan.
Yes, I know.
Well, that's settled then. But as much as I appreciate your presence, I would like you, Rowan, to hear, and your soldiers, to leave this city as soon as possible. An army the size of the Wayfarers will draw the Royal Army's attention sooner or later. And that's something neither of us want to happen.
You're right. Goodbye then, Argyll. And thank you for your help.
It has been my pleasure.
Of the few refugees who make it to Everlight, many are shocked to find that their troubles do not end there. Though its neutrality as a city-state left it largely unscathed during the Mage Wars, the city has its own mountain of problems to struggle with.
Tiara's breath. You haven't promised too much, Tahar. This place is incredible.
Just wait until you see it in action.
Just don't forget we're here for a purpose.
I won't. I'll go talk to Flynn now. We need to find a good place to set up camp. And, if you want to talk, about the past, then feel free to come by.
In any case, with our new allies, we should be able to go look for the stones. Let's talk at the forge.
What do we need?
Yes, Corporal? How can I help?
Can you tell me more about your abilities? What's it like to be a dream weaver?
Well, I suppose trying to explain that to someone who isn't is like explaining what water feels like to someone who never swam before. It's strange. I can sense things. Emotions, thoughts, but also the echoes of such. If I enter a place where someone has died, I feel that person's sorrow, that person's fear. My mind, my consciousness, it's open. I know that might sound very vague, but it's the best I can do.
I'd like to know more about your friend. The one you lost to the Bloodburn.
I'm not sure what there is to say. She was my friend, and the Bloodburn took her. Hence, I joined you. That is all there is to say.
There's something I've been wondering. How can you kill for a living?
What do you mean? How can I align it with my morals?
Yes.
I don't know if this is the right moment for this conversation. Maybe another time.
Interesting.
What do you want?
Just checking how you're settling in.
I'm good. Thanks. Interesting place you found yourself here. I'll give you that.
Back in the cave, you told me that you fought that demon in order to gain control over it. I'd still like to know how that works.
It's complicated.
That's it?
For now.
How did you end up in Bargagor?
It's a long story. Suffice to say, I've been on the road for quite some time now. Bargagor just happened to be my last spot before I ran into you. Let's talk about you instead. You gathered a ton of followers, one outcast after another. Tell me, Tahar, do you trust them?
Of course I do.
Huh. To be honest, I don't understand how you can do it. You have that look about you, and it's driving me nuts.
What do you mean by that?
I've observed you on the way back from Bargagor. The way you move, the way you talk. I get why other people follow your lead. I really do. You simply have some kind of strange charisma. It's not visible at first glance, but it's there. You give people hope. I guess that's what it boils down to. You attract outsiders, and you get them to march under your banner.
How's that a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because you're too careless. All these people, did it ever occur to you that they're outsiders for a reason? The treacherous orc, the renegade elf, the exiled dwarf? Still, you trust them. Even if you put your stern face on, I can see that you do. That's why people follow you. But trust doesn't protect from betrayal. But let's stop this right here, okay? I'm sure you have things to do, and so do I.
Yes. Let's see.
Ah, Tahar.
Seems your men have made themselves comfortable.
Yeah, they have. There was a small disagreement between Flynn and the orcs, but we settled that, so it's all. But I'm guessing that's not what you came here for. You want to talk, right? About what I did 8 years ago?
Why did you do it? Why did you tell my father about my plan?
Well, what do you want me to say? I did it because back then I still believed in your father's vision. What you, Zane, and Helena were going to do, it just seemed, I don't know, wrong. But that doesn't mean it was an easy decision. Also, I didn't think he'd execute you. Probably naive, I know, but it's the truth. You see, I joined Asamo because there was truth in his words. The masks, the pikes, all that hatred against us defilers that the purity of light is spreading now. It was all already there. The people always feared us, simply because we were different. Because we are better than they. Your father, he knew something like that would happen eventually. So he stood up and tried to stop it before it was too late. At least that's what he said. And to be honest, I still don't know if he only lost that vision or had never had it to begin with.
I can't believe you're saying this. The reason people hate us mages now is because of what my father did. He confirmed their fears for them by starting this goddamn war.
Oh, really? And what about all that shit that happened beforehand? The witch burnings, mages driven out of the cities, gifted children abandoned by their mothers.
Did you just say because we are better?
Yes, better. How else should I say it? We cast fire from our hands, heal wounds with a mere thought, so how would you call it? I call it superior. And the ungifted know it as well as we do. But does that mean that we want to kill them? No. We're not animals, we're people, just like they are. Only that we are the lions and they are the cats. We didn't choose to be that way, but it's what nature chose for us.
I don't know. But to me, it sounds like you're still trying to justify what you did in that war.
That's where you're wrong. It's not all black and white, Tahar. And you of all people should know that. I know I made mistakes. And I've spent the past 7 years making amends. What else do you think the Wayfarers are for? Why else would I have left? And look, I do not expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I could do it if I were in your position.
I remember that back in the rebellion, ancient relics such as godstones were your specialty. Is there anything interesting you could tell me about them?
Interesting? That depends on what you mean by that. I mean, it goes without saying that what this rune allows us to do is beyond fascinating. Apart from that, I could only tell you the things you already know. How both the Hibernians and Shapers worshipped them and harnessed their magic. But that's about it.
So, regarding the Wayfarers, you said you founded them to make amends. Is that true? And if yes, how did you found them?
Yes, otherwise I wouldn't have said it.
As to how I formed them, it's a long story. And maybe one we should save for later.
I want to talk about my father.
I figured you'd want to eventually. What is it you want to know?
This might sound strange, but do you see any resemblance between him and me?
Interesting that you ask. Yes, there were moments where I could not help but notice that certain something that strongly reminds me of your father.
Could you be a bit more specific?
Well, I think that the best way to describe it is a sort of look in your eyes. It's somehow distant, but at the same time driven and intense. And it can be both intimidating and charismatic. I believe that it's this energy that helped your father rally the noble houses and all these mages behind him. And ironic as it may be, it might help you with our cause too.
Do you think it's true? That he was simply crazy?
Towards the end, yes. He had certainly lost his sanity. But before that, I still don't know. I've said it before, but there's one part of me that likes to think he was a madman to begin with. And then there's the other voice that tells me that he was merely a visionary who had lost his way. But if there's one thing I know, it's that he was a leader. Whenever he spoke to us, it was electric. To this day, I've never seen someone with his charisma.
You sound almost nostalgic.
Nostalgic? No. It's just... I've never met someone with that energy. You have some of it, Tahar. I only started to realize that here. But most of it is still asleep.
My father never told me of how he grew up. Do you know anything about that?
About his childhood? I'm afraid not. He shared some fragments of his past with me, but probably no more than he shared with you.
Let's discuss something else. I'll be off. Yes. Interesting.
Corporal? Need anything?
Tell me about your time on the road. What was it like?
Is that a command, Corporal?
Please?
All right, but I'm afraid there isn't so much to tell. Have you ever been on the road by yourself?
A long time ago. Yeah.
Well, then you know how wearisome it can get. Sleeping under the stars sounds romantic at first, until you realize that most of the time it's sleeping in the mud in drizzle. Most of the time, your stomach and your purse are empty, and your feet are full of blisters. And of course, there's the constant danger, especially if you're traveling on your own.
Did you ever have a companion?
Some, yeah, but most of it was just temporary. Though there was one I traveled with for longer. Quentin.
How did you meet?
Coincidence. A small town between Finn and Mir and Lar. We played dice together and he cheated. When I called him out on it, he tried to turn tail. But one of the other guests stopped him for me. They wanted to go give him a beating, but I told them to stop. He gave me back my money and we started talking. And, believe it or not, we found that we got along quite well.
So you started traveling together? With a thief?
I wouldn't call him that. He was just young and careless. We ended up traveling for almost a year.
I see. What was your relationship?
You mean... No, we were just friends. He was way too young for my liking, and I think I was too old for him. We were more like sister and brother.
What was his story? Where was he headed?
Into the blue, same as me. He had quite an interesting task, but I wouldn't feel comfortable sharing it with you, to be honest. He wouldn't want that.
Huh. So how did you split up? What happened?
Nothing dramatic. We came by a village and decided to rest there for a while. The roads had become quite dangerous due to the mage wars, and we didn't want to go out unprepared. I did some healing for the villagers, and he helped out the local smith. He liked it, and the smith wanted him as an apprentice, so he stayed. I was surprised and a bit hurt at first, but then I realized it was probably for the better. I still think of him sometimes, though.
Do you miss it sometimes? The vagabond life?
Well, we're still vagabonds somehow, aren't we? But I know what you mean. And yeah, I sometimes do. The wind on my skin, the vastness of the wildlands, and the fact that all you have to think about is the mile ahead of you. It's another world. There was this one night I'll never forget. I had made a camp at a clearing, set up campfire, and I was leaning against a tree, slowly drifting toward sleep. Then, all of a sudden, it started to rain. Not just the usual drizzle, it was bucketing down, drowning everything, the earth, the noise, the plants around me. My first impulse was to jump up, to find shelter, get my things into the dry. But I didn't. Instead, I saw. I don't know how else to put it. All of a sudden, there was this deep sense of peace, as if all my life I had been chasing something, without knowing it myself. And in that moment, had found it. So I just watched. I sat there, and I watched. That feeling lasted until the sun came up. And then I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was gone.
That sounds beautiful.
And a bit dramatic. But yeah, it was beautiful. I've never felt something like that again.
And what do you make of it now?
Truth be told, I don't know. But it changed something. Even though I cannot say what it is.
This might sound odd, but why did you join me? It was...
Why are you asking? If you want me to leave, you can just say...
No, I just want to understand. You've been putting yourself in a lot of danger for our cause.
I guess so. Well, I hate to disappoint, but I don't think there's a particular reason. As you pointed out in the prison, I'm a fugitive as much as you are, and my best chance of survival was sticking with you.
Tell me about your time on the road.
Is that a command, Corporal?
Never mind.
All right.
Goodbye. Now would you
Corporal? Need anything?
Goodbye.
Zal Raka.
Gore, how are you and the Fire Wielders settling in?
All right, I guess. Though there've been some quarrels between my warriors and these Mohir elves. But don't worry, I took care of it. And that elven scryer promised to do the same. Nonetheless, Tahar, I have to say it. I don't like this place. Not at all.
Why not?
Well, I guess it's the people who once lived here. The Shapers. They were corrupted. And I can feel that corruption even now.
Corrupted?
Yeah. Their customs, their culture. They were completely detached from the order of nature.
How so?
Do you even need to ask? Just look around. Ghost warriors, strange machines, strange buildings. Especially this place, this Nexus. They thought they were above everything, even the gods. And they meddled with things they didn't understand. It's disgusting.
Well, they're dead now.
Maybe. But I can still feel their presence. Anyway, nothing we can do about it. If the Shapers caused the blood burn, I understand why we need this place. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Huh?
What's it like to change form? I've been wondering about that since I met you.
I can imagine. It's exhilarating and strange at the same time. If it taught me one thing, then it's how foolish it is to put the mind above every other aspect of the body. Many people do that, especially scholars or mages.
What do you mean?
Because the shape of our flesh is so much more than just a shell. It defines us. When I take on the form of a wolf, for example, this wolf isn't just me with fangs and paws. It's a different version of myself.
A different version?
Yes. You can't understand if you haven't been there. But I guess you could say that when I'm taking on a creature's form, a part of my mind gets infused with that creature's essence. The thirst for the hunt. Thinking as part of a pack, just to name the most obvious aspects. They meld with my mind. When I was young and first started shifting, the creature always dominated. It was like a feverish dream, and I had almost no control over my actions. With time, it got better.
Did you ever completely lose control when you were in another form?
In the beginning, yes. But the Elder always made sure I was in a controlled environment when I did my first transformations.
How does it feel to shift into a spider?
Strange. Being a mammal, a wolf or bear, it feels different, but still somehow familiar. A spider is something else entirely. The way you see, the way you perceive, the way you feel. The first time I shifted, I couldn't bear it for more than a minute, and it haunted me for weeks after that.
Yeah, I imagine. How do you learn a new form?
That's complicated. First you have to understand that creature, observe it, live with it if possible. That can take months, years, sometimes decades. Then there's what we shamans call the first joining. You have to visualize your shift.
How does that work?
I can't explain it. It's like your first bloodshed. It can't be explained, only experienced.
So, in theory, could you transform into anything? Even say, a wyvern, a dragon?
In theory, yes. In practice, there's no known shapeshifter who has ever done that. Save for old orcish legends, maybe.
Why not?
First off, there aren't many dragons around to study. And even if there were, you aren't likely to survive it. Secondly, transforming into something that enormous, it can be lethal. Our minds, our essence just isn't fit to govern such a massive body. Only some years ago, there was talk of an Ash Reaver shifter who had attempted to morph into a troll. He succeeded, but his heart, the troll's heart, stopped before he could take a single step. So you see why most shifters aren't that eager to experiment.
Well, that's definitely interesting. Thanks for taking the time to explain.
Sure.
Back in Bargagor, you told me that you think the orcs should strive to be more. What do you mean by that? Do you consider your culture to be, well, inferior?
Inferior? No, not at all. On the contrary, I'm glad to be a fire wielder, and not a human or an elf.
Why?
Because not so unlike the Shapers, your culture is bigoted, strange. You like to tell yourselves you're more than the animals you slaughter for food. You call yourselves civilized. But in the end, you look for the struggle just as anything and anyone else does. But of course you don't admit to it. You want to be better than that. And the result are lies, intrigue, wars, and assassinations. Your culture is so bizarre that it's almost amusing.
That might go for some, but not all of us.
Maybe, maybe not. So no, I don't consider our culture to be inferior. But we've gone astray. Fools such as Krell was one. They're the reason your race looks down on us. If Zakrak had wanted us to be ever-fighting, ravaging brutes, he wouldn't have given us minds to begin with. Every brawl, every battle, every war has to have a purpose. It isn't something done for pleasure. Yes, it can be enjoyed. But at its core, it is ritual. The most basic one of nature.
In other words, violence and war are good and necessary, but only within measure?
Yes, and it should be learned from. That's where most orcs disagree. They claim to value wisdom, but when asked to choose between words and a club, they always choose the club. And as you see, This is why our culture has stagnated. In its current state, there will never be an orc empire, a great tribe, or the earth-shaking horde Zarek envisioned.
So what you want is to lead your people to a better future.
You make it sound so dramatic. For now, the Fire Wielders are a good start. And by helping you, they will hopefully see that diplomacy and strength don't always contradict each other. After that, we shall see.
Don't you think a world without violence is possible?
No.
Why? Isn't that what we should all aspire to?
We should aspire to a lot of things. But tell me, Tahar, this world has existed for millennia. And has there ever been peace? Lasting peace?
No.
Exactly. And you don't think there's a reason for this? As I said, our very existence is based on conflict. Finding food, not freezing to death. Living means to struggle. Your people, with your warm clothes and banquets, try all in your power to forget that fact. But you can't, because ultimately, there's as much thirst for struggle in you as in an orc. What we orcs believe is that we should embrace it, that we should just face the truth, even if it's ugly. That the ways of nature can't be changed by its creation. It's like fighting the tides.
So, what? Do we just kill each other whenever we feel like it?
No. What we need is a way to channel our urges. Ceremonial battles, arenas, a society that is centered around survival and strength, and gains, rather than loses stability from it. Because if we simply suppress these urges, such as humans, the elves, and the dwarves do, they will at one point only erupt even more violently.
I never looked at it that way, but I think you might be right.
You never fail to surprise, Tahar. Anyway, where were we?
Did you always have these ambitions?
No.
Then where did they come from?
None of your business, Tahar. Sorry.
All right. But
sure.
I'll be off.
To this day, the Shaper's magical and technological prowess remains unrivaled. One thing is clear.
Tahar, may I help you with something?
What exactly is it that fascinates you about the Shapers?
Oh, Tahar, that's quite a topic. I don't mind sharing, but are you sure you want to go there?
I am. Tell me.
All right. Well, where do I start? You see, the Shapers have always fascinated me. They're all over Io, these remnants of a once so glorious civilization. Yet for some reason, so many people are almost oblivious to it. On the one hand, of course, that's very sad. On the other hand, it also makes it a lot more exciting. It's like I'm a treasure hunter, only that everyone else fails to see the treasures around us. Tell me, Tahar, when seeing all of this, don't you sometimes feel like you're exploring a childhood dream? The kind of world the poets and the bards always spoke of?
The Shapers are dangerous. Just think of that Steel Guardian we fought to get in, or the Ghost Watchers. Not what I call a childhood dream.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't take away from the wonderment, does it? But this childish fascination was only the spark. The more I studied the Shapers, the more enthralled I became with their culture. Did you know that at the pinnacle of their existence, they ruled over all of Io? A global empire with no one to oppose them.
You seem to consider that a good thing.
Oh, good, bad, the world doesn't work like that. Of course, there are writings that hint at the fact that the Shaper Empire wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, but still it was stable. And it persisted for tens of thousands of years. Can you imagine? All this knowledge, all this art, all this wisdom. Nothing in the Io of today can match that. Nothing. It's like comparing a sea full of secrets with a puddle of muddy water.
How do you know all this?
Some of it from writings, some of it's just connecting the dots. I know how many scholars are out there at the universities giving their talks about the inscrutable empire, but it's not nearly as inscrutable as they say. Their problem is they're trying to understand the Shapers by reading books and dusty tablets. That's not how it works. You need to get out there, into the field. And even if it takes years of fruitless digging, eventually you're bound to stumble onto something. Another piece of the mosaic.
Very poetic.
Because it is.
My father always told me the Shaper Empire relied a lot on slaves.
What? No, that's rubbish. The Shapers had castes, yes, and it's probably the lower caste your father was referring to. But to call these slaves is like calling, say, a tanner who was born outside a royal family a slave, just because he'll never be a king. And even the very lowest caste, the Zalanyur, always had enough to eat, a roof over their heads, and could, without paying a single coin, get themselves healed by a cleric if they needed to. So if you think that's unjust, go ahead. Ask an Everlight beggar which era he'd rather live in. He's not a slave, yes, but in some ways he's worse off.
And how exactly did their empire come to be? They must have conquered quite a few nations.
They had the liberty of being the first living civilization on our Io, at least as far as we know. That made it easier to maintain peace and stability. Until the end and the dragons.
And yet, they died out.
Yeah. A great mystery.
Most scholars think it was the dragons.
They do, but I doubt it. You saw what the Shapers were capable of. Even a race as powerful as the dragons couldn't have wiped them out. And you see the shape this city is in, Tahar. There's no traces of fire and destruction. But regardless of what it was, it doesn't change the fact that the way the current races of this world treat the Shapers is nothing short of pathetic. They were greater than we'll ever be. But instead of studying this greatness, we ignore them. And why? Just because it doesn't fit into our religion, our traditions, or whatever reason they can come up with. Because to many, admitting what a marvel the Shapers truly were would mean admitting that our culture is pale in comparison.
Is our world really that bad?
That depends on your expectations. We could do worse, certainly, but if this is as good as we can get, then I have nothing to feel but pity.
Maybe you're right. There's a lot we could learn from the Shapers.
There is. In any case, I suppose you found your answer, haven't you?
I see. Well, thanks for the explanation, Iskram. I appreciate it. Goodbye. Interesting. All right, let's cut to the chase. We need to discuss where and how we start our search. You are all familiar with the objective?
Find the Forge Stones, reignite the Nexus, decipher the song with it, and put an end to the blood burn.
That's about it. Iria thinks that someone removed the Nexus stones shortly before the city was abandoned, but they left their markers on that stone map. And now that we have a small army backing us up, we can start searching. Escrum?
Yeah, we suspect one of the stones to be in the desert of Aenir's Blade, probably in the possession of the Iron Falcons, whereas the other one is on an unknown island.
An unknown island?
Correct. And yes, the oceans might have long taken it, which is why the only way to find out is to build a ship. And to...
Wait, I think I might know what that island is. Does it happen to be in the northwest? In the Black Sea?
I think so.
Sun and stars, that's fascinating. 2 years ago, there was an archaeologist in Everlight who claimed the same. That there was an island in the Black Sea, unknown to our cartographers.
Did he find it?
That's a complicated story, but it's a trail we could follow. If we go to Everlight, I can tell you more.
Well, it does sound promising.
And intriguing. So, where do we go first, Tahar? Everlight or Aenir's Blade?
I'll think about it and let you know when we head out. For now, just get prepared.
Will do, Corporal.
Will do.
We'll make short work of them.
The Field Dog. What may sound like a myth or horror story to many is harsh reality for the 200 Iron Falcons of the canyon named Aenir's Blade. According to legend, the Guardian Gods fought back the Field Dog, ancient mythical demons, and sealed them in a tomb.
Huh, quite the view. So that's where the Iron Falcons guard the Field Darg.
We should be very careful, though. It may not look like it from up here, but this place is a battlefield.
I know. We'll go in, get the stone, and leave. Maybe we won't even need to send in our army. Let's scout the area.
Corporal.
Sounds like a plan.
Told them he shouldn't do it. Told him. But he wouldn't listen. You know? He...
Char's breath. Who are you? Who did this to you?
What?
I said, who are you?
No. No, Mother. It was him. Why don't you believe me? It was him!
He's hallucinating. This is pointless.
Wait, let me see. Selwen Lurasar Eswantur.
Mother? I can see this city now. Tiara's breath. It's so white. So beautiful.
Damn it.
He was an Iron Falcon. That's a bad sign.
Agreed. Seems that something happened down in that canyon. Let's be wary.
That way. All right.
Here we go. Undead.
Shit. Another bad sign. The Falcons are supposed to defend the entrance of the valley. Child's play.
Sure.
You read my mind.
Here we go.
Leave it to me.
Sure.
That way?
Got it.
Fair enough. Let's do this.
This place is a bloody graveyard.
Really?
Is that all?
Walking corpses. Take them down. You'll regret this.
Leave it to me.
What? That's all? I'm only getting started.
You got it.
Let's see.
Child's play.
Whatever's necessary. All right. The Falcons are definitely in trouble.
It's not just Falcons, though.
Let's get down there.
Pathetic.
All right, here goes nothing. That way?
Sure.
Now would you look at that? Let's see.
Another death man? Look, friend, why can't you stick to our agreement for just an hour?
Deathmen? What do you mean?
What is this? Are you...
Now, would you look at that? The fabled falcons have called for reinforcements. They look a bit old, though. I always thought Lady Aranor likes her recruits young and ripe for plucking.
Hi, Keeper Aranor. And a hint of respect would be in order, Sir Catras.
Yeah, I know. You folk would kill for your formalities and traditions, even if it means sacrificing your own troops to a group of undead.
I think you're confusing something. We're not reinforcements.
Oh.
Then who are you?
It's complicated. To put it shortly, we are looking for a relic that we believe to be hidden here in the desert.
Neatalf's helmet?
No, Shaper Energy Stone. Hard to explain.
Energy Stone? Well, I hate to shatter your treasure hunting fantasies, but whatever it is you're looking for, you're going to have a hard time finding it. The Iron Falcons lost the fortress, and thus the tomb.
Shit. That's bad.
You make it sound as if we forgot to lock the door. Tell me, stranger, have you ever heard of the Bloodburn?
I have. What about it?
Well, most people think that it only affects the living. That's wrong. The Bloodburn has an effect on the dead, too. At least here. It wakes them.
The Bloodburn wakes the undead? How?
I don't know how. I only know what it does. Whenever a mage hears that cursed song, the undead rise. And it frenzies them, almost like somebody is speaking inside their heads.
Telepathy. It must be able to stimulate the remnants of their minds, even though they've died long ago.
I beg your pardon?
Doesn't matter. Is it possible that the undead also killed a scout of yours? We found one on the mountain pass.
Tiar's breath. That must have been Henry. We sent him to ask for reinforcements. May the Guardians have mercy on his soul.
We did all we could. I'm sorry.
No need to be. He gave his life to protect Io, as we Falcons all will one day. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
And these undead overran your fortress?
8 days ago, yes. We were forced to retreat, and now they're continuously pushing us back. We're losing soldiers every day. It's a nightmare.
That's bad. I don't know how precise these old Shaper maps are, but according to them, the stone should be hidden somewhere in the fortress.
I can hear you, and I know which stone you're talking about.
Lady Aranor, come to favor us with your lovely presence again?
Shut up. As I said, I believe I know which stone you're talking about. It's been with the Falcons as long as I can remember, but we never figured out its use. What do you want it for?
I'm working for someone who wants to put an end to the Bloodburn.
Lofty words. Look, stranger. If circumstances were different, we might discuss this. But right now, you're at the bottom of my priority list. I think it's best if you just go your way and look for another stone.
We can't do that. But maybe we could help.
You?
We and our army, which is waiting at the entrance of the canyon.
You're joking.
We're not. Go send a scout if you don't believe us.
Well, this just got a whole lot more interesting.
No. Whoever you are, there's no way on Io the Iron Falcons will cooperate with a bannerless army, Deathmen or yours. The canyon is our responsibility. As I said, go back to where you came from and let us handle this.
We've protected Aenir's blade for centuries, and we will not fail at it now. Hold the line, Kiroy.
Oof, look at those legs. Like pillars. If only she had half as much wits as she had muscle, this whole dilemma would have been resolved by now. Come to my camp if you want to talk. I think introductions are in order, and I can help you.
Good luck, stranger.
Yes?
Oh, sod it.
You there! Wait! We should talk!
Anything on your mind?
Interesting.
Thanks for coming back. Any help, that is. Our sisters and brothers are still in the fortress, and I'm afraid they won't make it much longer. And as much as
So, what do you suggest we do?
Well, she is our leader, so without her consent, we can't do anything. But you could try to gain her trust.
Blazes, your men are in danger. Can't your commander just listen to reason?
Well, I fully agree with you. We have lost far too much time already. But knowing Highkeeper Aranor, I can tell you that this is the only way to convince her. 2 days ago, one of our brothers deserted. Find him and bring him back to Highkeeper Aranor. That should help you win her trust.
So the Deathmen are mercenaries? What do they want?
It's actually pretty simple. A relic. They were hired by some rich artifact collector from Everlight, who wants them to find Neathalf's helmet.
And it's here, in Aenir's blade?
Yes, but in our possession. And since it's a relic of the Guardians, we are obliged to protect it, as much as we are bound to protect the tomb of the File Darg. Oh, this wouldn't be a problem if the undead hadn't taken our fortress. There's no way this group of cutthroats would have breached the walls. But now they want to help us free the fortress in return for the helmet.
Sounds reasonable, doesn't it?
Reasonable? It's brazen, disrespectful, and cowardly. They are using our situation to pressure us into giving away an ancient artifact of the Guardians, which we are supposed to protect. But it's also our only choice. Even if the Guardians are watching us and judging our actions that very moment, they must see that the tomb of the File Darg and our brethren who are still in the fortress are more important than the helmet. But sadly, that is not how Highkeeper Aranor sees it. So, it's complicated. The Deathmen refuse to help as long as the Keeper doesn't swear to hand over the artifact in return.
You said that the Bloodburn woke them?
It still does. Every second night or so, our mages hear that forsaken song, and more undead rise from the ground. The fact that this place has been a battlefield for centuries doesn't make it better. There's as many bones as there are grains of sand.
Have you lost men to the Bloodburn too?
Well, most of us are magically gifted one way or the other, so hardly. But there have been casualties, yes.
That's harsh. Can't you just reclaim the fortress yourselves?
We've tried, but these undead, they are different. It's almost like this atrocity who is leading them, the one in the fortress, has given them some kind of intelligence. They are organized, almost like an army.
Catra said the Deathmen could help me too.
That man says a lot when the day is long. I hope you're not seriously considering working with these cutthroats.
I'll think about it.
Well, don't think too long. Every minute we waste might cost us dearly.
We should think this through, Tahar. I'm sure we can only get on the good side of one of them. Deathmen or Falcons.
That's a bad idea, Tahar. Without help, we can't win this battle. Let's talk to the Falcons, of those soldiers first, shall we?
Sure.
That's a bad idea, Tahar. Without help, we can't win this battle. Let's talk... That's a bad idea, Tahar. Without help, we can't win this battle. Let's talk to the Falcons, of those soldiers first, shall we? That's a bad idea, Tahar. Without help, we can't win this battle.
Let's talk to the Falcons of those soldiers first, shall we?
Sounds like a plan.
Got it.
Really? Finally. Easy.
Sure.
Stay away! I'm not going back!
I take it you're the deserter.
Deserter? I'm the only one with a hint of reason. Did she send you?
What do you mean by a hint of reason?
Isn't it obvious? That whole thing, it's ridiculous. Our brethren are still inside the fortress. Blaze is even Aranor's disciple is. But she just refuses to cooperate with the Deathmen. And why? Because she's too proud. She hides it behind the Falcon Way and our traditions. But that's nonsense. Yeah, sure, the Falcons are a purely human order. But that doesn't mean you can't accept help from a dark elf if the fate of Io depends on it, does it? Instead, she's planning this idiotic foray which will be the sure end of us all.
She's planning an attack?
You didn't know? Yes, tomorrow at night. It's pure madness, and I'm not throwing my life away like this. I'd rather die in the desert. But you're gonna take me back, aren't you? To the Falcons.
If I bring you back, will the High Keeper kill you?
I don't know. I'm a deserter, so it is her good right to do so, but still, just don't...
Sort of. I'm here to bring you back to the Falcons' camp.
Well...
Don't lay off the blame. You made a choice, and now you have to face the consequences. Now move.
Really?
Child. Undead. Understood.
Uh-huh. Fine.
Yes, and I will gladly accept my punishment. But please, High Keeper, at least consider the offer.
We'll see. Now get back to your post, Kiroy. The undead aren't waiting for you.
High Keeper.
High Keeper Aranor?
I know what you did. You brought back Scion Merrick. Kiroy told me all about his little plan.
So, will you let us help you or not?
Fine. Yes, I will. Bring in that army of yours and we'll see if we can deal with the undead together. Talk to Kiroy, my second-in-command. He'll show you where you can set up an outpost.
Wait, that boy is your second-in-command?
He's older than he looks and one of the most capable keepers. So yes, he is my second-in-command.
Fair enough. I will talk to him.
Good.
Finally.
Yes? Please tell me you have good news.
I do. The High Keeper agreed to the alliance, and she told me you'd show us a spot for our army to make camp.
Finally, some good news. All right, I'll show you a good spot.
Hold on a moment. High Keeper Aranor said you're the Falcon's second-in-command?
Well, yes, I am.
Aren't you a bit young for that?
Maybe. Maybe not. Traditionally, the Falcon's recruits are chosen at the age of 6. In other words, I've been in this desert for 18 years, so I have experience.
Lead the way.
That way?
Kiroy, I still have questions.
Of course. How can I help?
Lead the way.
Here, this is great. Come over here if you have a minute and we can talk about what's next.